Welcome back to Stay Tuned. I'm Tony Angelo, and today we're working on one of my favorite all-time projects ever, our SikeClone all-wheel drive turbo S10 pickup. This is based loosely or inspired by the legendary 1991 GMC Syclone, which had a 4.3-liter V6 turbocharged, pushing power to all the tires all the time. It was all-wheel drive. In 1991, that thing went 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, which is absolutely bananas. Today, then it was unbelievable. It was faster than like every serious exotic sports car made back then, and it was a total killer. And now, if you want to get your hands on one, it costs about $50,000, $60,000. We're not buying $50,000, $60,000 cars here at Stay Tuned, but we will build a down and dirty version instead. So that's what I did. I went out and got a 4x4 S10 truck. I got everything good out of an all-wheel drive Astro van, the engine, the transmission, and the transfer case. That's all the same stuff that they used in the Syclone, bolted on a Chinese turbo kit and slammed it in here. And we've gone as quick as 4.21 seconds to 60 for about $6,500, including the truck, all in, everything. We loved it. That was the best, but guess what? It's time to now go way faster. In the process last time of going that quick, we hurt the engine and we decided let's get a new motor and actually get inside of it, do some down and dirty cheap upgrades and make it even better, be able to run more boost, be able to make more power, and be able to go even faster. So we have built up our Junkyard turbo engine. The deal is we went out and got a good used motor for about $300, got some steel file to fit rings and opened them up to boost proper gaps so we can feed this thing all sorts of boost, new head gaskets, ARP head studs, and then we put in a comp camshaft. Specs are 270, 276 overall duration and 510 lift on this thing. It should make a huge difference, and that's all we're basically going to do to this thing, and it's going to now just wreck shop. I cannot wait to get it back in there. We've got to do a couple things first. The biggest, again, another real key component that's going to completely change the way this thing drives is a much nastier torque converter. Okay, so a looser torque converter is going to let your engine flash up into the power band and leave the line much more aggressively. This thing already leaves the line like a bat out of hell, in the rain, in the dry, whatever it is. And I'm excited because we're going to throw in this Summit Racing 2600 RPM stall lockup converter, and it's going to be even nastier. That means basically it'll be into the boost by the time this thing leaves the line. It will be a killer. Please take a second and go over to the Stay Tuned merch store. We've got a rack of shirts from the original Stay Tuned shirt, Angelo's Gym. We're going to lose the shop, and there's lots of stickers too. All right, there she is. That's the stalker. Do a little bit of ATF right on the snout here. This looks well worn, but dry. We like that. I have already put about a quart of ATF in this thing, so that it doesn't have to run dry. All it sucks all in there. I'm just gonna rock it in. There it goes. That's it. Feel those 3 stages and she's ready to rock. Easiest install ever. So before we can install our turbo system back onto our 4.3, it turns out these ARP head studs hit the manifolds that we got. So they just need to be ground down a little bit. Zach's gonna do that and then refit the turbo system. And he's gonna toss this 4.3 into the S10, and I'm gonna go pick up my kids from a field trip, and then we'll check back in a minute. All right, I showed back up. The engine is not in the Syclone, no big whoop. Zach had to fight with a very stubborn pilot bearing, so that's gone now. Just had some welding and some slide hammer issues. Had to go out and get a slide hammer, which we didn't have. But now we have one. Now we're good. So what's nice is since we haven't thrown it in, we have a little bit more room to work because the proper valve springs have arrived. We are running 5814s from Edelbrock. These are more or less the only spring on the market that's exactly the right size for this thing. Its installed height is 1.7. They have, I believe, the ability to go to 1.15 before they bind, so plenty of space for lift. And they have some pretty serious chops as far as rate. I believe it's in the 330 range fully open. It's perfect for this roller cam. And it's going to keep these valves fully controlled. We've got guide plates, we've got springs, we've got retainers. We still don't have push rods, but they're coming. That'll be easier to throw in once it's in the car. We're going to run a Howard's retainer that I had laying around 0423. These actually work just fine with these Edelbrock springs. Ba-doop. There we go. That's the package. Slam them in. Okay, the best time to put valve springs on your head is when the head is sitting on a bench. That's number one. Any other time it's kind of a pain in the butt. We're going to do it with the heads on the motor out of the car. That's number two, but way below number one. We're going to take the Schrader valve out of our air hose, apply pressure to the cylinder. The idea is that the pressure is going to keep the valves pushed up because we're going to be levering down on the springs around them, and we don't want the valves to drop in once there's no keepers to keep them up. So now when you put, yeah, you're supposed to keep it at TDC, but sometimes I've used it before. I got to put it on. Now see how it's spun there? So it's at the bottom of the stroke if you don't have it perfectly at the top. It's really hard to keep it exactly where you need it. But we'll just try to run it. I've run it like this before, where it's just constant, you know, it's the bottom. It's still not making a great seal, but it should do something. How about that? Springs off. There you go, that's one. Yeah, I was looking at those bush heads, number one, because they're awesome and I used to run them on like super speedways. But number two, because one of the reasons it was so hard to get this thing back together is these valve springs are tiny on the OD. They have to be under 1/250. Like I said, there's basically like 2 springs on the market that you can run with this 4.3. But those bush heads, boy, they had like big proper seats on them and you could run just about anything.
Are they aluminum too?
They're aluminum, yeah. $1,200 used, obviously, but they would do something. The other alternative is to get our hands on some, like I said, some Vortex springs. Let's trade. And go from there. Listen, if you can put anything on your car that came off a NASCAR, do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Kind of like the Corvette servo. It's a Corvette part, you should probably do it.
All right. Get rid of the stalker. Okay. Got it. And if we haven't talked ever, just general valve spring theory. As you get to a camshaft that's more aggressive, it's going to have a sharper ramp, meaning it's going to open the valves more quickly, and it's going to open them further. And for that alone, you need more valve spring pressure to keep it stuck, to keep the, more or less, whatever's touching the cam, the lifter, stuck right down and everything controlled. If it's too weak, it'll start to oscillate, valves will float, you'll lose valve control. It's just bad news, you'll stop. It's more or less almost feels like a rev limiter. You just stop opening the valves when they should, lose power, it's a mess. So OEMs run a pretty soft valve spring setup because as we increase it for our performance stuff, it does add to the wear and tear a little bit, but it's worth it. Oh, we gotta add this bad boy. Hold this, so it doesn't just flap on the ground.
We're just getting in the zone there.
I know, it's getting rocking. This is every single thing we ever do in a car that we don't do every day. The first one takes 30 minutes, the last one takes 30 seconds.
There it is. No casualties to our faces.
Not bad.
Come at me, buddy. Come at me, bro. That'll get us somewhere.
You gotta torque that down, right?
Yes. For the third time.
Here we go. Let's put her in, huh? It's late at night. I want to take 2 seconds and talk about a sponsor of this episode that's supporting. Stay tuned. Factor 75. Look, we eat a lot of pizza on this channel, right? But sometimes, you know, it's just too much. I'm packing it on and it's time to eat a little bit better. It's about eating well once in a while. Still gonna eat some pizzas, but Factor 75 has these chef prepared, ready to rock meals that are really easy when we're in the shop late, and it's just about throw it in the microwave, bring it out. You don't have to think about it and it's ready to eat. Choose from 35 plus weekly flavor-packed, fresh, never frozen meals that promote a healthy lifestyle and meet your meal preferences, all ready to eat in 2 minutes. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code STAYTUNED50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. That's factor75.com or click the link below and use code STAYTUNED50 to get 50% off your first Factor box.
Alrighty now.
All right, motor's going in. Here we go. You know what I was thinking? So like a small block Chevy is a mouse, big block Chevy is a rat. We need a cute name for this. We need like a little rodent name for this, even smaller than a mouse.
Chipmunk?
Good chipmunk, hamster, chinchilla. I don't know, something good. 4-3's got it. Oh, is that true? Okay.
Like a mink.
Mink. That's way bigger. It's gotta be.
I think chipmunk.
I think chipmunk is nice. Chipmunk. 4-3s are now chipmunks. Deal with it.
You heard it here.
That's it. Chipmunks. Got this little chipmunk motor. She's ready to scratch your eyes out.
How's your mount looking over there?
So before we drop this in, Zach installed these much better, instead of the big biscuit style mount, this is like a tubular bushing style mount. Should be way less movement, much tighter, and actually more clearance to get it down and back, and hopefully into the frame without having to take the mounts off the engine. But I don't know if it's going to be all the way there. Lift it up a little bit. Can you go back just a hair, and then it might come down? Nah. Oh, let's take them off. They're loose.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just hold them together while we maybe strap the bolts ahead of time. This is a heavy chipmunk.
Kind of feels like a mink, doesn't it?
Let me take like a little weight off with the chain. Other way, other way. That's good, stop.
I got my one starter.
Okay, good. Arf!
Snug up. Now I should be able to just pull it out.
Yep.
It'll make our lives easier.
I think that's what happened last time. Good. Oh yeah, keep going.
There you go.
That's about it. Now I'll put the mount back on the motor and go to town. Drop one of the bolts. I gotta see where it is.
Oh yeah, she's gonna line up.
Is this upside down? What's going on here? It is
The
upside down.
single hole goes at the top.
No. Yes. Wait, what? Cool. Okay, we have our boost-ready Junkyard 4.3, the little chipmunk that could, bolted into our SikeClone. I'm pumped about it. We've got that looser converter in there, the comp cam's bump stick. Zach is gonna button it up, just, you know, radiator, carburetor, etc. When the proper length push rods come in, I will dial those in with the right rockers and guide plates and get this thing fired up, and then we're gonna take it to the track and see just how much nastier our SikeClone is with this version 2 setup, and I cannot wait. So Zach buttoned up pretty much everything on the engine. I just got in our set of Comp 152 self-centering rockers, so I won't have to use guide plates, and a set of Comp high-tech 7.500 inch long push rods. Now it's time to assemble this thing and get ready to fire it up. As soon as we get this thing fired up, and it's obviously a very late night, we're gonna take it out tomorrow and take it down the drag strip. I'm very excited. We're gonna see how this little turbo prepared Junkyard motor does. I'm gonna be honest, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about it. Could be all the after hour beers. Could be that nice cheeseburger I just had. Either way, I'm feeling good. My buddy Tyler is here.
Welcome.
All right. It's just us tonight. Those guys did something called Go Home. I'm not exactly sure. So I'm just gonna dip the ends of these push rods in some assembly lube and drop them in each hole. Just a little, there you go, just a tiny bit. I'll come back to the top tips with a little squirt nozzle. Wanna get that side?
Yep.
Don't go too wild. So I'm gonna come back through again just with this assembly lube. I'm gonna just hit the two things that the rockers touch. So I'll go across the tips of the push rods. This is just for startup, just to make sure everything stays nice and lubed up while it gets its first dose of oil. We did pre-lube it before we stabbed the distributor in, but just better safe than sorry. I go tips of the valves and tips of the push rods. And as we talked about before, we strengthened up, you know, we added all of that spring pressure to those valve springs to keep up with that new nasty high lift cam. And because we did that, now we have to run these much stronger push rods, because if we don't, you could just bend them, collapse them, they'll get wonky.
Won't be so straight anymore.
They won't be straight. And what you want out of a push rod is straightness. number one. All right, these rockers are not going to do us any good because these studs are too short. That's fine. No big whoop.
What do you got? Another rocker
I got
hitting
plenty.
somewhere?
Don't even sweat it. All right, I'm going to run instead a set of 1412 Magnum roller rockers I had laying around. Also from Comp, these should work just fine. The same ratio, 1.52. Okay. Is not a self-centering tip, so we will go back to using the guide plates. That part number is 4808. All right, let's jam them in. All right, while Tyler picks up the rockers and pivots and nuts that are all over the floor, I'm going to come through and install these. This is a 4808 guide plate. It basically keeps everything aligned. It keeps the push rod aligned, and by doing that, it keeps the rocker tip over the top of the valve. More or less, you're going to put them in, snug them up, make sure the alignment is beautiful, and then torque them back down. It's a little bit of a time-consuming process, but it's worth it. Make sure you have plenty of pipe dope or thread sealant on the bottom of these bad boys if you're doing a 4.3 or a small block, because they go through to the ports or to the water jacket. All right, a little more pipe sealant, thread sealant, pipe dope, call it what you want. All right, I'll do the rest of them.
Comp cams up.
Dial them in, torque them down. So I'm going to drop these 152 rockers on. I do a little bit of assembly lube in the cups because that's where most of the force is going to be as it fires up. Snug up the adjusting nuts. Hopefully they get on there enough to grab that lock. Seems like it's a possibility. It's close, and we'll see. There we go. All right. So the pivots are on. They're all greased up. Push rods are in. Plates are on. Rockers are on. It is time now to do the hard part, or the fun part, or the easy part, depending on who you are. We are going to set the preload in these hydraulic lifters. Okay, so we have our rockers assembled with the push rods and the guide plates. Everything looks just fine. I went back with that stamp style roller rocker. It's going to work out just great. And it's time now to just set the preload in the valves. In the lifters, really, they have a little bit of a cushion of oil that the hydraulic lifter rolls and rides on. And so what we're going to do now is do this, what we call EOIC method. Exhaust opening, intake closing. So I'm going to bump the engine around with the starter. I've disconnected the fuel pump and the ignition. And as the exhaust starts to open, I will adjust the intake because it's on the base circle of the cam. And we'll keep bumping it around. And as the intake comes up and starts to close, I will then adjust the exhaust on that same cylinder. The one thing that's a little bit wonky here is, bear with me, it goes like this. Exhaust, intake, exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust on a 4-3. So keep your eyes open when you're doing it. All right, let's give it a shot. Okay, so we'll start here. So we're going for, this is a fresh start at it. I'm going to spin these push rods and feel once the valve's in the right spot until there's just a little bit of drag on them. That should be more or less that there's no extra space anywhere. It's all seated, and I'll do a half turn to preload the push rod into that lifter, that hydraulic little oil cushion. Okay, so give me a, we're going for exhaust opening, so hit me a little bit. That's perfect. All right, so I'm just gonna, you can see wobbles all around here. I'm just tighten it up so I still feel. Still wobbling. There it is, and we're gonna go, we'll do a half turn. Yep. Okay, we're in that squish zone, and this slack here will be taken up by oil pressure. Okay, so now we're going, hit it again. Hit again. Okay, good. Okay, that's good. Go a half. Perfect. Okay, moving on. Exhaust is going to open. Hit it. A little bump. Okay, perfect. Coming here for this one. All right, that haphazard display is going to get us fired up. I'm going to let these things warm up, build pressure, then I will try it again once these things have seen some oil pressure. I think that's probably best case scenario. It's going to let me get a little bit more of a consistent reading, but they do all look like they're in the ballpark as far as how many threads they're showing, and this thing is almost ready to rock. It is the end of a late night. We are going to throw these on, hear this thing fire up for the first time. You get a good night's sleep, come back here, dial this valves in, dial the timing in, and get ready to take this thing to the track.
I'll get a good night's sleep as long as it starts, right?
As long as she starts right up, it sounds great. Yeah, the lifters felt very inconsistent, having been never run, and these will be better off once they've been pumped up. Even just from cranking it, the other side feels quite a bit tighter now. So we'll give her another go in a sec. All right, it's like 10 o'clock at night. It's time to fire up the Syclone so we can take it to the track tomorrow and see just how great our cammed up, ring gapped, new honed out Junkyard motor is going to do. So hit it. All right, not a good start. Okay, we may be 180 out. I can smell that fuel. All right, give us 2 seconds. All right, crank it. All right, try that. Give it a little gas. Okay. Go ahead. Stop. I don't know. We're not getting any spark, I don't think. All right, we're gonna try it again, this time with some engine grounds on that hopefully give us some ignition. Hold on, I have a plug wire off. I'm not even gonna test it. We're just gonna blind faith hit it.
You want that battery pack back on?
Yeah, I got it. Hit it. All right, stop.
We getting fuel?
I can smell the fuel.
You can?
Fuel I can smell. Give me a crank. Good. Stop. All right, yeah, we're getting sparks.
We are?
Oh, we are on that one, yeah. Try that. Go ahead. Not how I like to do this. Go ahead.
Yep.
Hit it. All right, I'm gonna put a fresh set of plugs in this thing and triple check the timing, and we're gonna get her fired up in the morning. Cool, all right, it's now morning. We are bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Barb just threw in a fresh set of spark plugs. I think that was the issue. They were just flooded big time. We didn't have a spark last night because the ground wasn't on for half the cranking. It was, you know, a late night, and there were a lot of different hands inside this little chipmunk right here. Like, that sounds terrible. We have spark. We have new plugs in here just to be 100% sure it cracks right off, because I don't want to crank it anymore and potentially like do some damage to these rings. They have to seat up hard and fast because it's brand new rings with that fresh hone I put on there. So give it a crank over, Barb, but just a little bump. We're gonna get it to TDC. I'm gonna make sure that I feel like the timing is just perfect.
Just want a little bump?
Just a little, yeah, a little more. That's the intake stroke now. Okay, just a hair if you can do it. That's really close. Can you do a tiny bump? That's pretty good. Okay, that is for sure TDC on the compression stroke. So that is, let's just see where the rotor is. Make sure we're fully dialed. There's a couple ways to do this. You either set it right at top dead center and then you give it a little bit of a 12, 10 degree little bump to get you where you want to go. Or a little bit better way to do it, I think, is to pull the motor up to about 12 degrees and then just try to line that thing up with the post. This is, again, just to get you fired up. Then you're going to do it with a timing light. But I just want to get it really close because I don't want any more shenanigans cranking this thing over.
Yeah, hold this up. Yeah.
Okay. So that is there. Where's the post? Set it back down. Can you get this back in there?
It's got to come to you.
What do you mean?
Come to you and go around. Yep.
Yikes.
There you go. Got like a shoulder. Yeah. There must be I think there's an indentation. Like
There's a key. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You're in.
Okay. We're going to bump it like there.
I felt that like
That's
right
it. That's
here.
the guy. That's the one.
All right, put that thing on there. You got a timing light.
Let's just get it fired up and let it pump
Let it
up
run for a minute?
try to seat
Yeah.
these rings and pump up the
That thing.
pump up the lifters. And we're gonna set those bad boys all again. Get out of my face with this.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. It's time to fire this thing up. Junkyard turbo prepped 4.3 chipmunk motor. Let's do it. Fire it up. It's got quite an exhaust leak there.
That's what that is?
Yeah,
Sure about that?
absolutely. Why? That's what it sounds like. It is.
Sounds worse than that. It's
I'll figure out the exhaust leak, but I think it's just a giant exhaust leak.
at the.
I don't know
Also-
yet, bud. Oh, you know what? It's probably because there's no number one spark plug in there. That's why it's also doing the thing. Yeah, put that back in. We are a bunch of monkeys fucking footballs today. One more time. This is it on 6. Hit it. There it is. Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Keep it running. Rev it up. It's got a brand new motor. Come on, dude. warm up. I'm gonna reset the valves. I'm gonna vary the RPM a little bit right off the bat because I want to get these rings broken and seated pretty well. All right, she's running. She sounds good now. Finally. 4.3s have 2 timing marks on the crankshaft, in case you're wondering. One of them doesn't work. Once you get it right, though, it works like a normal engine. All right, she's running like a top. Once we got the right crankshaft mark dialed in, apparently there's 2 on a 4.3. Fired right up. Then we even put in that last spark plug. Ran even better. All right, she got a little chop on her. I got it down to idle speed. Sounds pretty good.
Let me get that chop
Give you
ready.
rev up. Let me give you rev up. Oh, it's different. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That sounds good.
Woo! That's better. This thing is gonna fly.
Oh yeah.
All right. Let it cool down for a bit. We're gonna set the valves. We're gonna bleed the brakes, put the rest of it together, and we will set the timing, hit the road.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. That was some bubbly milkshakes.
Thank you.
Again.
I made it myself. And holding.
Oh yeah.
Done.
All right, one more.
Coming up.
Yeah. Give me like
Up.
3 pumps.
Well, I'll give you 3 pumps, buddy.
I know you will.
I think it's good, man.
Yep.
It's definitely got a lot of brake pedal.
Yep.
It should be fine. All right, when Tyler was underneath his car yesterday, we threw some new calipers on it because we found out the rotor and caliper were annihilated. That's one of the reasons it made that absolute awful shrieking sound when I was launching it before, but I was kind of into it. It felt like personality a little bit. He said, hey, your clip is missing from the servo cover. And so I managed to yank the servo cover out on the 4L60. If you recall, I did a Corvette 1.2 servo upgrade, which we were able to do mostly outside the transmission in the car. And it looks like part of this, whatever this plate is that touches the pin, it has like kind of a piston ring on it. I'm assuming it keeps it moving up and down in this little cylinder in there is ripped and broken. It's some kind of guide ring or whatever you want to call it. So we're just going to keep on rocking and get this thing dialed in. I think I have to get a new ring for this thing, put the servo all back together properly with the right clip fully installed. We got to check the ATF. We got to set the timing. We got to warm it up. Maybe we'll do a couple of street miles, try to break these rings in and just dial this thing in so that when we hit the track, it's absolutely ready to kill. We also got to do that new boost controller. We got a new boost controller. It's a Hallman, real Hallman special.
Does that make it easier to turn it up?
Yeah, it makes it easier to lock down.
Okay. While it's up.
All right, yeah, let's call a local transmission shop. Let's see if Charlie's got one. Charlie's Transmission and Gears, our buddy. He does a lot of automatic stuff. I bet they got one of these on the shelf. All right, so we ran on our local transmission shop specialist, Charlie's Transmission. He had these on the shelf, a new sealing ring thingy. My buddy Ben Brown suggested using Vaseline, which I've used on rotary seals when you assemble stuff. Kind of shove it in there and keep it all together. So I'm going to give this a healthy dose and kind of just tap it in. So obviously one way to go, that they're cut like this and this, so you just line it up, make sure it makes sense. It really will hold it in there pretty well once you get the whole thing down. This is what you use on coolant seals on a rotary, because if not, they just wiggle all over the place.
Yeah.
You never get that sandwich built. All right. Plus, it's good for your skin. It's nice. Fingertips get a little moisture, a little moisturized. All right, I'm gonna slide that back in. We're gonna get, and I believe that that tear was what was keeping us from getting everything back together. Oh yeah, the whole thing came out before.
Whole thing, yeah.
Okay, look at that. It was absolutely stuck before. Wow, I don't know what it's doing, but that's not it. Look at that, getting full depth. It just moves now.
This one's ready to rock, baby.
Look at this.
Oh, yeah. Imagine that.
Wow, incredible. Okay. Look at that.
How we feeling now,
The whole
bud?
thing moves.
Incredible.
Feels like something.
I bet you that it'll plunge in really nice and this will go on really nice.
Let's find out. Did that light go off? Cool. I think that's it.
We're in there.
Yeah, check the engagement. Good all the way around?
Sure looks like it from around here. How about on this side?
Yeah.
That's good?
That's it. There she goes.
Nice job.
Corvette Servo, take 2.
Beautiful.
Got it in there. Don't grab it with pliers when you're trying to pull it out. Not a good idea.
Not a good look.
I had to refinish it a little bit. We are here at Englishtown Raceway Park. We've got the Syclone. We got it fired up, dialed in the timing and the valves, put all the turbo accessories back together, and installed this Hallman proper signature Hallman boost controller. It's one of their lower lines, so we can actually see what we're doing, just keeping it really low buck and simple. I think this was 60 bucks, 55 bucks. And we are gonna start out on the back straight here on the road course and see how quick we can go to 60 and probably run into the 8th mile too. My goal here is to see if we can take this truck, which I think we're into now about 8 grand, and see if it'll run on street tires on an unprepped surface, 0 to 60 in the 3-second range, because that would be bananas. Bananas. We're getting to the point where like this thing is just so ungodly fast. We wanted to take it to the track, a proper quarter-mile track, but we had that issue with the transmission servo. It didn't happen. So we're here. That people at E-Town let us come out here, and we are just gonna see what this thing can do. I'm very excited. Our new Junkyard turbo motor with that comp cams camshaft is in. It sounds killer, and I think we'll just start at 12 pounds and start turning it up. So we have hit 10 million views on the Stay Tuned channel. I appreciate each and every one of those views. It's been just awesome to be out here on YouTube doing our own thing. All told, we've got maybe a year's worth of time doing this full time with all of our energy, and it has been amazing. The support is killer. We really, really appreciate everyone that's watching this thing. 10 million views, I'm so stoked, and we're just ready to keep on rocking.
Let's go.
Let's go!
Double it.
Let's double it and then triple it. And quad-doodle it.
Quad-doodles?
Yeah, it's mad stuff. All right, I'm gonna just check the boost on a little bit of a load. I'm gonna just hammer it and see what it feels like. We're gonna try to aim for the lowest boost possible right off the spring and then turn it up from there. So we've got our comp cams, 500 lift camshaft. That's 270, 276 duration if I recall correctly. We have our Junkyard motor that we honed out with those steel Summit rings gapped for boost. And we have our Summit torque converter that's going to loosen this thing up and let it really launch in the power band. So it went 4.4 dead stop to 60, which is 4.21 magazine style to 60. I don't really know which one we're going to reference, but 4.21 sounds better. And I'm hoping to go even faster with just a little bit more money. That's kind of how we do it around here. So back in the Syclone, let's fire it up and see what it does. I got to put the clutch down because it used to be manual. Knock it into gear. Well, that's too much boost.
Yeah, it's hitting crazy boost.
Went to like 20 plus.
I think we should go down with it.
Bring it down.
Yeah.
Let's bring her down. In this.
I'm gonna get the wrench.
Good. Good. Let's try that.
Some science right here, huh?
It's about to be.
Still is.
Okay, that feels like 10. That's way better. Way better. Turns out boost controllers really make a difference. The brakes, oh, we also put 2 calipers and a rotor on this thing. Everyone was like, what is that awful shrieking sound when you leave the line? Turns out one of the rotors had real deep grooves in it, and the pads had long since turned to metal. So we changed that. It's like a luxury car now.
Okay.
All right, we tried to install power steering on the truck because we've never had it. Modern style pump, this little kit, and it's spraying everywhere. We're just gonna get rid of it. Cut, Barb, cut that belt. Let her live.
Cut it?
Yeah, just cut it. Take it off would be nice, whatever you want to do.
I'm gonna take it off. What size is that top bolt, Zim?
Got it.
Yep. I would help you, but I'm wearing our new white shirt. I'm trying not to ruin it. You see, got our new Stay Tuned, Down and Dirty Hot Rods.
He's gonna use
We
that
made a
excuse
white shirt.
for weeks.
So is that the excuse that you make when you don't want to work on your buddy's car? I wore my white Stay Tuned shirt today.
Could be. If that's what you're into, go for it.
It's probably white.
I'd help, but my shirt. I'd help
so
that it's
white.
white.
So
I wore the white one today. We figured,
switch it up.
yeah, Barb's gonna wear it all the time. It's gonna be your uniform. Come on!
I'm only gonna wear white.
All right, let me just see what it does.
Better?
Certainly better. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a truck. One of the plug wires had fallen off. We kind of scrambled this one together. Just giving it a once over now. It looks solid. Sounds like our truck, but better.
Yeah.
That's more like
That
it.
sounds a lot better.
Yeah. Listen, when you only have 6,
Every
you need every one of
every
them.
little bit counts.
Yeah. But it should pick right up now. Again, we kind of scrambled this thing together. It's killing me. I usually like to like really pour over everything. There was a spark plug wire off. Could happen to anybody, I guess. She seems to be running fine now, starting up happily, and we're gonna take it for a rip. And listen. That's what I'm talking about. We'll see what it does.
Right there, like at 4,000 RPMs, it's slipping big time. Maybe more trans fluid. That's dedication right there.
On there now. So I've got a dial back light. I'm going to set it like 33. See where we are all in.
Right on.
Dead nuts. It is dead on. So we'll leave that alone. Just wanted to check. All right, now that we know our timing is right, we've added a little bit more fluid to our transmission with that torque converter change. Hopefully that helps it exist a little bit longer. And we're gonna turn the boost up because we're just dumb enough to do it and see what it does. Give me a little more boost. Let's try to get a run out of this thing, yeah.
All right.
That's how it should sound. Yes, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that'll do it. Oh, I'm gonna go higher.
Maybe it's 66? Start at like
It's like a
62.
small block, right?
Yeah.
I'm going 65.
The difference
Something's gonna
is this
happen.
is like 2 cranks glued together.
That's, yeah, okay, well, you know, when you say it like that, it's not my favorite.
It seems faster.
It looks fast.
It definitely looks faster. That, like, I'm about to fall apart noise every time doesn't get old.
0 to 60 at 5.7.
No.
It's not happy yet. It's certainly not happy. Get in, let's just monkey with it.
Okay.
Let's see if we can come up with any ideas.
Monkeying.
it doesn't feel, it just feels like I'm driving right through it, and then sometimes at higher RPM it gets wonky. Trying to keep an eye on the boost and the...
So how much boost was it making when you did those other runs?
Alright, let's pull a plug or two, but I think this trans is just fucked.
Okay.
Let's pull a plug and look at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't like power throttle ever, so I'm like, the mixture there sucks. There's no gears in the transmission. I can't really find any discernible gears. It used to snap in a second pretty hard. I think we got a loose converter and way more power. It's just like, it went 0 to 60 in 5.7, just doing nothing. I don't see any like real obvious detonation marks, and the timing is conservative. Yeah, this looks okay. The motor seems. I think there's not a lot of connection between the motor.
I don't think the gears are like, hey, let's hang out.
They're in there somewhere.
They're in there.
They're not coming to play today though. It's so hard to understand what's happening with our new engine when it's basically you have no idea because the car's not moving or going anywhere because either the converter's too loose for it or it can't handle this power and it's blowing right through it, or the gears are just annihilated. But I think we're in bad shape. Yeah, they're all bad news. Mm-hmm. What I know is that like it's a range because it's about how much power the thing makes. So the more power it makes, the more slip it's going to have. So we must be making a whole lot of power because it's slipping real hard.
It is.
So it's just not delivering it, and I think that alone will hurt the clutches in there. I think we're in bad shape with this transmission, and it's a bummer because the motor does sound pretty great, even on without any more fine tuning or any stuff like that. Like, I'm just worried about it. I don't want to blow it up for no reason.
Once it finds a gear and you're pulling, it sounds awesome.
They're like short spurts from like 45 to 55, where it's like ah, and then it like immediately makes some terrible sound, and I still stay in the gas because why not? And then it's like, and it does all these awful, terrible things. I hate, we had such a good package here. Stock motor, little turbo kit, 0 to 60 in the low fours. And now we got this semi-built motor, and we threw a converter in it thinking, oh, it'll only be better. 8 million people commented,
or the
throw a converter in it.
fine and the trans was just smoked.
Or we have absolutely just beat this transmission to death. That could be the case. Either way, I don't think we're going any faster today, and that kills me because the Syclone has been a non-stop winning machine.
It's disappointing.
Yeah, just wakes up and pisses excellence. That's what this thing has done from day one. And so this is our first L we're going to take on this thing, and really in a long time, and I'm kind of bummed about it. All right, well, it's time for some upgrades in this thing because we're getting that 3-second 0 to 60, and I want to get this thing ready to start taking on some drag and drives. Sig Week is coming. This might be the truck for it. We got to figure out what's next. All right, we couldn't just leave you with that abject failure. We're back in the shop. We pulled the transmission pan off the 4L60 that's in the Syclone. Before we had to mess with this pin, the 1-2 servo was kind of jamming there sideways. There was like a clip failure, we believe. And I talked to my buddy Ben Brown, and what we're going to do now is make sure that it's actually actuating this band properly. You can see it right in there. I feel like I broke that. Let's put that somewhere else. And that friction band, it should move and squeeze together on that drum. That's the point of the servo. So what we can do is apply air pressure here to this little port and see if this thing squeezes. I mean, the thing is, if it does squeeze, we know that it's hammered, and if it doesn't, then we know it's in there wrong. So if it's working as it should be, that's bad, I guess. Since it's definitely not shifting through the gears or grabbing anything hard enough. Give it a shot, Zach, just a little bit. Hit it. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, she's servoing. Wow. All right, well. So either the transmission is totally smoked or we're just running through this converter. Either way, we're sort of in bad shape here. It's time to come up with a plan. We have a plan. Now at some point we're gonna tear this thing down, paint the frame, put on new suspension, maybe make the outside look halfway decent and get ready to take it on some drag and drives. But we're just not there yet. I can't go to sleep not knowing how much gnarlier this engine combo we put together is and see just how quickly it will go down a track. So the plan is this: the SikeClone is gonna get some very badly needed drivetrain upgrades. The stock 4L60 was, you know, put up a really great fight, but eventually it gave up the ghost. So that's done. We're gonna get a serious transmission and nasty turbo specific torque converter in there. And we're gonna do a limited slip in the rear end on this thing and a couple other upgrades just to get this thing really ready to put down the kind of power that this little 4.3 liter Chipmunk is making now. That's it for this episode of Stay Tuned. We're gonna keep on rocking with this thing. The SikeClone's only gonna get faster from here. I cannot wait. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.